Any questions in the audience at this point? Anyone? Feel free to jump in. Yes, sir. We don't have a light for you, so if you could project it.
Nah, it's cool. I'm used to it. What's up? I see you guys every October. Anyways, it's like you're my family. Anyways, it's like at one point, like you decide, it's like, okay, how are we gonna kill someone this time around? Do you guys like do a couple shots and say, hey, we're gonna rip this guy's eyeballs out, or like, hey, we're gonna rip like. Where do you draw the line? Like, when are we going to see like a full bone, like a penis just like ripped right off?
That's when we finish the bottle.
That's when we get to Saw X.
all seriousness, is there a line that you have to draw that you can't do? Like, I noticed like none of the traps have been on a kid or anybody under the age of like 20 or so. Or like.
I keep wanting to do a graphic sex scene, but they keep vetoing me.
Boo!
Have you ever seen anybody kissing in Saw or anything at all
No.
like that? No. We should, bring it all out in Saw 7, right?
Every year we actually have to go to the ratings board. So there is actual thought put into the fact that we can't go too far or the movie won't be able to be screened in normal theaters.
Yeah, I think there's two answers to your question, if I understand it correctly. The first part of the answer is that when we are in pre-production on Saw, we have what I call our design phase, which is anywhere from 4 to 6 weeks prior to the start of real pre-production. And it's during that period of time every year that myself, the director, the production designer, the art director, we all basically go into our office and lock the door every day for about 8 hours and try to think of ways to kill people. That's after the 8 hours. That's after I've spent the year with you. And it's during that period of time where we've come up with the base ideas for the traps, whether it was early on in Saw 2 when things like the needle pit, or the oven where Abby gets burnt up, or as recently as Saw 6 with the carousel or the steam room trap. So we take a lot of time and figure that out because we have to have traps. We do 99% of the work practically on set. That means that the traps that you see on film are actually functioning on set. So we are constantly trying to figure out something new and different that we can do that can fall within that parameter. As far as taking it over the top, as Alex said, we do get an R-rated film every year, and so the film has to be submitted to the Motion Picture Rating Board in Los Angeles, and so we try to take that into account as we go along in the development process as well.
Well, I mean, that's interesting because obviously so many horror films have a lot of CGI now, and that's fine. But to me, in part, what sets Saw apart is that you don't seem to see a lot of CGI in it. So I'm wondering if you all think that's in part what might account for its popularity. And as actors, is it better and more gratifying for you to be able to actually act with the equipment as opposed to just against the blue screen?
I think ultimately you have to have a good imagination just in case you get stuck with one instead of the other.
Mm-hmm.
But everything helps, and if you haven't got the option, you just got to go for it.
Mm-hmm. Any other questions in the audience at this point?
Can I ask another?
Sure, I think we have one there, and then we'll come back to you. Good, sir? Yes?
Well, I was just going to ask on traps what everyone's favorite trap was.
That's a great question. Favorite traps? Can I start with the needle pit in 2?
Oh.
But I also really liked the carousel. Not that you even asked me, but but I loved in 6 the carousel with the shotgun. And actually, Larissa was one of the 2 young ladies who was spared. Did you want to stand up and say hello there?
Hi.
I think you were wearing a pink top, right? Red top. And William spared you, right?
He did.
He did.
He fled from case for my life convincingly.
You did. That was a great trap, the breathing one in 6 too. But what about all of you? Can we start with you? That's your favorite trap.
My new answer is that I'm not a big trap fan. So I would say that my favorite situation from any of the Saw movies is about forgiveness. When Jeff was, he was faced with would he forgive the killer of his son or die a terrible death, and he couldn't do it. So I say the situations that people have to be put in Saw to really reach a place of, am I going to pick good or evil appreciation or not? Am I going to realize how great my life could be, or am I going to take the bad road? So I'd say my situation is forgiveness for the Saw movies instead of the traps.
And Costas, you've had a big part in some of these traps.
What's that?
You've had a big part in some of these traps.
Yeah, well, you know, my least favorite trap is the one that Mrs. Kramer put me in. But there's a lot of great traps, and some of them, it's hard for me to pick the best, but I remember seeing Saw 5 with a really big audience in Vegas. And do you remember that pendulum trap?
Mm-hmm.
I remember that one distinctly because the crowd's reaction at the beginning of that movie was so, it's like it was the winning touchdown in a big game. It was huge, and it stands out because I got chills just seeing how fans really react, and that impact. I remember that trap basically, but a lot of them are really, really ingenious.
Do you have fans when they come up to you and talk to you about the franchise? Is the first thing that they want to tell you their favorite trap? Is that a response that you get a lot?
That happens.
Yeah. And what about you, Dan? You've seen them all. You've had a hand in all of them.
Yes, I have. I liked. I think the needle pit probably was one of my favorite traps. There was a trap that we did in Saw 4 that seemed to affect people. That I don't think it worked as well as we had hoped it would. But it was the hair trap where the scalp gets ripped off as the hair gets pulled back. And I think it has in common with the needle pit that those traps really gear themselves towards problems that things that most people are squeamish about. Right. A lot of people don't like needles, and I think a lot of women with long hair always have that fear of having their hair caught and get caught in something.
And of being murdered by Jigsaw.
And being murdered by Jigsaw. So those are mine. Guys?
My favorite trap is actually from Saw 1. It's a small scene. It's a guy naked in a room with crushed glass on the floor. And he's covered in a very flammable substance, and he's got a candle, and he has to go around the room to try and figure out the combination of this safe. And it freaked me out because that's something that really anyone could do to you. You know, it's creepy. Who would do it? I don't know, but there are people out there. And I think it's because it's all done with it's not like there was anything that had to be engineered. It's just somebody thought that up with their sick mind.
And that was a scene that almost didn't make it into the movie. We almost didn't get it shot because we were at the end of our day. We had an hour left, and we told James Wan whatever he could shoot in an hour would end up in the movie.
I've got two favorite traps. For the build of a trap and the beauty of what it looked like was the angel trap with Carrie in it, where she gets her ribs ripped apart. That was a tough trap to work on because we had her hanging there for a couple hours, and just the logistics of it and just making that trap work. Jason L, our prop builder who built that, did an incredible job just building that and seeing it on set and having it all come together. Was really amazing. And then the other, my ultimate favorite one was Anita's fly trap, because it kind of went back to, in Saw 2, it went back to what, like the smaller traps, he hits good traps with one person, and it was a practical trap. It was on the actor's head, and he was wearing it for 2 days, and there was 4 of us manhandling him, making sure he was comfortable, and every time we cut, we'd sit him in a chair and make sure that this thing didn't slam shut. If he moved his ear too much, we'd catch his ear. So we were worried about that trap, and it was Saw 2, and we were all kind of getting our feet on that one. But it's just a beautiful trap, and the way it worked was really amazing. And those are the ones I really like to work with.